Okay, so when Jesus derides like the customs of men, he's not talking about Pharisaic authority in general. He's talking about specific corruptions, right? Specific places where it's gone wrong. But it's really fascinating to point out that one of the things where he says it's gone wrong is in that if you say something is korban, that it's dedicated to the temple and the service of God, that then you can't use it to honor your father and mother. And one of the fascinating things is that in Jewish oral tradition, they actually agree with Jesus. So in the Talmud, so this is Babylonian Talmud, Kiddushin 31b, 31b. It actually says that you're required to honor God out of your money, quoting the book of Proverbs, but that only applies to what is over and above what you need to honor your father and mother. That comes first. That you're required to do that first. And interestingly enough, the Concise Book of Mitzvot, who is this by? I've forgot. Rabbi Israel Meir Cohen actually follows the same position, that you have to honor your father and mother. You can't get out of it by saying that you owe it to God. So the Jewish tradition agrees with Jesus on this, but there were corruptions of it. There were people who were falling away from it, and overall the system had become corrupted, and people were falling away. The Pharisees themselves were not keeping their own rules. And in fact, the church fathers affirmed this basic idea. They say that there were oral traditions. So this is from the early church fathers before Nicaea. This is Clement of Alexandria from his book Stromata. In Book 10, Chapter 5, he's talking about secret knowledge and how there are things that are not written down so that you can be more discerning about who you tell it to, because books are public knowledge. And so he quotes Paul, and he still more clearly reveals that not all knowledge belongs, that knowledge belongs not to all, by adding, praying at the same time for you, that God would open to us a door to speak the mystery of Christ, for which I am bound, that I may make it known to you what I ought to speak. For there were certainly among the Hebrews some things delivered unwritten. There was a Jewish oral tradition. Now it became corrupted. It was not preserved perfectly, because there was no promise of the Holy Spirit to keep it uncorrupt. But this is what's so fascinating, is that in Matthew 23, we're setting up what's going to come next. And in the next chapters, just a few chapters later, Christ is going to give the keys of the kingdom to the apostles. He's going to give them the interpretive authority, the legal interpretive authority, to say this is binding and that is not. You have to do this, you don't have to do that, and your guilt is retained and your guilt is forgiven. That's the authority of sitting in Moses' seat. So it's not that it goes away, and it's not that there wasn't an oral tradition. It's that it's transferred from the scribes and Pharisees to the apostles.